There's the right way and there's a wrong way to sell a distressed home. And if you make the right moves, you can walk away with more money in your pocket, even without making expensive repairs. So in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down exactly how to sell a distressed property the smart way while avoiding common mistakes that most homeowners make and can cost you thousands. And if you're new here, I'm Molly with Cash Out of My Home. My team and I have bought over 300 homes across Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama, and many of them have been in rough shape. So I know it works, I know it doesn't, and now you can come out ahead. Now let's get right into it. All right, first things first, before you even think about selling, you need to understand exactly what you're working with. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see sellers make, especially with distressed properties, is underestimating or overestimating the condition of their home. Some people think that their home really isn't that bad, but once they get into the process, they realize that there are foundation issues, old electric systems, or plumbing problems that buyers will flag immediately. And others assume that their house needs way more work than it actually does, and they panic, thinking the only option is a fire sale price. So here's what you do. Walk through the property like a buyer would. And I mean, really take a step back and ask yourself, if I was looking at this house for the first time, what would stand out to me? Look at the things like the roof, the foundation, HVAC system, plumbing, and electrical, because these are big ticket items that can literally make or break a deal. And it's important to get a second opinion. If you're unsure of what's wrong, bring in a contractor, a home inspector, or even an experienced real estate investor. And I know spending money on an inspection might sound like a waste of time, but trust me, having a clear picture of what's wrong and what isn't is going to help you make smarter decisions when it actually comes time to sell. Separate deal breakers from minor fixes. A bad roof, outdated wiring, foundation cracks, those are gonna be your big deal breakers. But chip paint, old carpet, and outdated kitchen, those are more cosmetic. And so the key here is knowing truly what's a major issue and what's a small fix that buyers won't care as much about. And you may be asking yourself, why does this even matter? Because when you understand your home's true condition, you can price it correctly, market it effectively, and negotiate like a pro. All right, now you have a clear idea, hopefully, of your home's condition. The next big question is, should you invest in repairs or should you just let go of the home as it currently is without putting a further penny into it? And I'm gonna be real with you, this is where most homeowners tend to lose money because they either spend too much on the wrong fixes and avoid making easy improvements that would have helped them sell for more. So let's actually get into it. Selling a distressed home as is means you're handing it over in its current condition without making any repairs or any upgrades. This can certainly be the best move for you if, let's say, the house needs major repairs such as foundation issues, potentially mold, outdated electric or plumbing, and you don't have the money or time to fix them. So if you're in a time crunch, maybe again, you're facing foreclosure, you're trying to relocate quickly, or you're settling in a state. In these cases, if time is really money for you, then it's usually better to sell quickly than get caught up in a long renovation. You don't want to deal with contractors. Managing repairs is stressful. If you don't have the experience or patience to deal with quotes and delays and even unexpected costs, then selling as is could be your best bet. If you have a cash buyer lined up, investors and house buying companies like us specialize in buying properties that actually need work. So we do expect the home to need repairs, so you won't be penalized for it, especially the small things. Now that said, there are many situations where spending a little money up front can actually make a big difference. If your house isn't too far gone, consider making minor updates to attract more buyers. And here's what I think is actually worth fixing when you are going that route. So number one, curb appeal matters. First impressions do sell houses. So cleaning up the yard, pressure washing the driveway, slapping on a fresh coat of paint on the front door can add thousands to the value of your home without much effort. And easy cosmetic fixes like new light fixtures, maybe fresh paint inside, replacing those broken doorknobs, those things can really make a house feel more move-in ready. And fix anything that could scare off of a buyer. So if a faucet is leaking or a window is broken or there's a hole in the driveway, drywall, then just fix it yourself. These aren't expensive repairs, but they can make the buyers feel like the house is falling apart, especially if they're first-time home buyers. So my suggestion is that you make it look clean, most importantly, and make it look livable. Even if the house needs work, a good deep clean can go a long way. No one wants to walk into a house that smells like a pet odor or has layers of dust everywhere. And at the end of the day, you don't need to make your house perfect. You just need to make it appealing enough to sell. And that sometimes means selling it as is and pricing it accordingly. Now let's talk numbers. How do you price a distressed property correctly so you don't lose money? Now that you've decided whether to sell it as is or make some minor improvements, the next step is to actually price the property right. And this is where a lot of sellers tend to get stuck because, again, they will either overprice it and it's going to sit on the market for months, or they undervalue the property and they leave thousands of dollars on the table by selling it short. So let's walk through how to price your distressed property the right way. Pricing matters, in my opinion, more than anything else when you're trying to sell a property, most especially when you're trying to sell it quickly. And let me share with you something that I've learned after being in this business for a while. The number one reason why a house doesn't sell or does sell, even if your house isn't in great shape, a well-priced property is going to attract buyers, whether it's investors looking for a deal or a homeowner that's willing to take on a fixer-upper. But if you overprice it from the get-go, you're going to waste your time and buyers are going to surely move on to the next listing. So forget what Zillow or online estimators tell you. They're often way off, especially if it comes to a distressed home. So instead, here's what actually works. Look at comparable sales. Find recently sold homes in your area that are similar in size, condition, and location. This is going to give you a realistic idea of what buyers are actually paying for in today's market. And then factor in those repairs. So if the home is in good condition and it's sold for $250,000, but your home needs $40,000 in repairs, you want to price accordingly. A smart investor is going to subtract those costs from their actual offer. And then get a professional opinion. If you're unsure about your price, talk to a real estate agent, an appraiser, or even a reputable cash buyer, and they'll tell you exactly where your home stands condition-wise and even what they can offer. And look, I get it. Maybe this is the house that you actually grew up in. Maybe you spent years putting your heart and soul into this house, but most buyers are not going to be paying for your memories. They pay for the house's actual value in today's market in comparison to other homes on the market. Some sellers get desperate and they price their home way too low, thinking that it's going to sell faster. And the problem here is that you leave money on the table that you could have kept with better pricing. If your house is in rough shape, your best offers will probably come from investors who buy houses for cash. And many sellers hesitate to consider these offers, but if you're trying to sell fast and your home really doesn't need a lot of work, this could often be a really solid option for you. So at the end of the day, the right price gets your house sold. You want to attract serious buyers, not tire kickers. You're not in the business to waste time, so don't waste time when it comes to pricing your property. Let's talk about the type of buyer that you need to attract, because selling a distressed property isn't like selling a move-in ready home. It's all about knowing what kind of buyer is willing to take on the challenge and how to position your property appropriately to that buyer. So who actually buys distressed property? So there are generally three types of buyers that will buy a distressed property. Number one would be your generic cash investors. So these are real estate investors, they're house flippers, or buy and hold landlords looking for properties that they can fix up and either resell or that they can rent out. We and those types of cash investors typically love distressed homes because we can buy it at a price where we can still add value through renovations and tasteful updates. And the biggest advantage with working with a cash buyer is that we can close pretty quickly, sometimes as little as a week, because of course we're not relying on that traditional financing. The second type of buyer would be an owner-occupant buyer that's willing to renovate. These are buyers that want to live in the home themselves, but they are actually open to doing the work themselves. They're usually looking for a deal and they need financing, so their offer may be higher, but it can also take longer to close. And depending on the home's condition, you might run into issues with the lenders not approving the loan if the home needs too many repairs. Trust me, I have dealt with this many a times. The third type of buyer would be a developer or a contractor. So if the property is in an area where land is valuable, sometimes developers are willing to buy a distressed home just so they can tear it down and and build something new. If that's the case and your home sits on a lot of land, then the condition of your property wouldn't really matter anyway, but the location will. So the key to selling a distressed home is knowing how to market it to the right audience. If you're selling to an investor or developer, focus on what's important to them, the numbers. Investors want to see the potential profit. If you've already priced out repairs or if you have estimates handy, then it's helpful to provide that upfront to those buyers. It saves you time and it makes your property actually more appealing. And the opportunity is if the home is in an up and coming neighborhood, highlight that. If rents are strong in those areas, then let the investors know. Investors are going to be looking at the bigger picture, not just the property itself. And if you can make the transaction smooth, whether that's by offering an easy showing process or agreeing to an all cash sale, it is going to attract more serious buyers. Now, if you're listing your property on the market and you're trying to attract those traditional buyers, then you're going to need a slightly different approach. So you'll want to highlight the upside. Maybe the home has good bones, historic charm, or it's got a really beautiful layout. Emphasize what's actually working versus what types of repairs are needed. You want to focus on showing what's possible and a little staging, even virtual renderings of what the home could look like after renovations can go a long way in helping buyers see the potential. And again, be honest about the condition. So buyers need to know what they're getting themselves into. If a home needs work, then be upfront about that, but also let them know that with the right vision, that they are getting a really good deal on this property and they can turn it to something beautiful. At the end of the day, selling a distressed home isn't just about tricking someone into buying your fixer-upper property. It's about finding the right buyer that sees the potential and positioning your property in a way that makes sense for them. Now that we've got that covered, let's talk about a critical piece of the puzzle: how to negotiate and actually get this deal closed. This is where a lot of sellers either maximize their sale price or, once again, they do leave that money on the table. So selling a distressed property means that you're likely dealing with savvy buyers, whether it's going to be that investor, a flipper, or maybe someone that's looking for a fixer-upper. But most of the time, these buyers are going to know how to negotiate, and trust me, they will negotiate with you. But that doesn't mean that you don't have leverage. You just have to know how to play your cards right, and you should always know your bottom line. So before you even entertain these types of offers, have a clear number in your mind. What's the lowest price that you're willing to accept on this property? And be realistic with yourself. Don't get bullied into taking an offer that doesn't make sense for you. Make sure that it makes financial sense for you and your future plans. And if you've priced your property right from the start, then you should already have some room to negotiate. But if you're getting low ball offers left and right, even so, that could be a sign that you need to adjust the expectation of yourself or maybe attract better buyers. So do expect those low ball offers, but don't panic right away. Investors and cash buyers are gonna always come in lower at first, most of the time, and it's a part of the game. You know, their goal is to buy it at the lowest price possible. But here's the thing, just because an investor offers a low number doesn't mean that they won't come up or another buyer won't pay differently for that property. Most experienced investors are used to counter offers, so don't take the final offer as a number. See if there's some wiggle room there. And if the offer seems really low, then you should counter with a number close to target price. Serious buyers will negotiate with you and they will not walk away from a fair deal. And if they do walk away, then that just means that they're most likely not the right buyer for you in the first place. So my suggestion would be that you leverage as many offers as possible. And I tell this to clients that we work with as well. The best position that you can be in as a seller is having multiple buyers interested at the same time. And if you're working with a strong real estate agent, they should be able to generate enough interest to create that competition. If you're selling to cash buyers, then talk to more than one. Get multiple offers in hand and let them know that you have other offers on the table and you're speaking with other buyers. This is going to put you in the driver's seat instead of just accepting whatever number that someone throws at you, most especially in a desperate situation. And you do want to address contingencies. So if you're selling to a traditional buyer, someone that is going to be using a mortgage, they may have contingencies in their offers. These contingencies are going to be home inspection contingencies. If the buyer finds major issues, then they do have a right, depending on the state that you're in, to back out or renegotiate the price. Of course, we have the financing contingency. So if the buyer's loan falls through, the sale could be delayed or just fall apart entirely. And then you have your appraisal contingency. So if the house appraises for less than the offer price, the buyer may ask you to lower your price or just back out of the sale. So one of the biggest perks of selling to a cash buyer when you have a distressed property is that they typically waive all, if not most, contingencies. They already know that the home needs work. They know that they're not waiting on the bank to approve the deal. And that's typically why why cash sales will close much faster than working with a traditional buyer. So once you've accepted an offer, the final steps are about making sure that everything goes as smoothly as possible. You want to make sure that you have clear title. So if there are any outstanding liens or title issues, get them resolved ASAP. The buyer's title company will need to check this, but it's better if you know about any potential problems in advance so you can run your own title search. And then finalize agreements in writing. Don't do any handshake deals with anyone, especially over the phone. Make sure everything is legally documented and have your attorney review it if necessary. And then you want to make sure that you want to coordinate a move out if needed. So if you're still living in the home, or if you need to clear some things out, or if you have tenants that need to get some time to move out, then make sure that you work out a reasonable timeline for you. Another step to prepare for a successful closing is prepare the closing costs. Depending on the sale, you may have to cover some costs like back taxes, transfer fees, or agent commissions. So make sure you understand what's coming out of your final payout. What are your final proceeds from the sale of this property? And once all that is squared away, then you'll sign the paperwork, collect your check, and hand over the keys. And just like that, you are done. Selling a distressed home is not always easy, but with the right strategy, you can walk away with a deal that makes sense for you. So let's wrap this up with a final word on making the best decision possible for your situation. Selling a distressed property is all about knowing your options, making the best move based on your timeline, your financial situation, and your long-term goals. There is never going to be a one-size-fits-all situation, and may work for one seller here in Chattanooga, may not work for another seller here in Chickamauga. So if you are looking for the fastest way out of your property with minimal hassle and you're looking for a fair cash offer, then usually working with a local home buyer is best. There's no repairs, no drawn out negotiations, just a straightforward sale. But if you've got the time and you're willing to put in a little bit of work, listing with an agent can definitely get you a higher price. Just do be prepared for that longer process. So no matter which route you take, my best advice is to know your numbers, be realistic, do not waste time, and if you need to sell fast, start taking those actions today. Reach out to buyers, connect with an agent, get those offers coming in, because sitting around and waiting is not going to get your house sold. And if you want help figuring out the best move, that's exactly what we do at Cash Out of My Home. We've helped hundreds of homeowners over the last 7 years sell their distressed properties quickly and for fair prices in Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama. So whether you want a fast as-is cash offer or you just need advice on how to navigate the process, we're here to help. Give us a call at 866-341-1663 or visit our website at cashoutofmyhome.com to get started. Before you go, make sure to check out this playlist over here, all about selling your house fast, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching.